when the right people come together at the right moment, when they care almost as much about winning as they do about each other, they can become the best of the best.
Welcome to the best soccer show, the best soccer show in the whole world.
Here we go. It's the best soccer show. Jason Davis, Jared Dubois, and a glass of whiskey. You're drinking because the U.S. Women's National Team lost to Mexico. I see you over there.
I'm drinking because it tastes good.
You're drinking because it tastes good.
I love me some Black Label. I don't know what it is. Call me simple, but I love
You love it because it tastes good. That's such a weird thing because
I don't drink for effect.
You remember when we were kids. I mean, I don't know about you. I don't know how it worked in your household. I know that occasionally my dad would have a cold one. Now, he wasn't drinking the finest vintage out there. He was drinking, natural ice or whatever, My grandfather would come and there'd be Keystone filling the fridge. And I don't think my dad was a whiskey guy. But there was a time when you would like, hey, Dad, can I get a sip? And he would hand you the beer or whatever, and you'd go, oh, my God, that's gross. Why do adults drink that?
Yeah, I'm sure there was that moment. And for me, it lasted a lot longer than it did you. But
oh, yeah, no, I was intimate with alcohol probably too early. Let's not get into it.
I think in my fridge growing up, there was usually 2 Coronas, and those would sit in there for about the same 2 Coronas would sit in there for about 6 months. Till my dad would have one friend over that liked to have a beer, and they would drink both of those 2, and then a new 2 would be in there for another 6 months.
Your dad was just going out and buying singles?
I don't know. I never remember more than like 2 or 3 beers being in my fridge. And
well, but see, that's the thing. So Morgan is saying that beer took a while for her to enjoy. First of all, Morgan, aren't you like 19? You shouldn't be drinking. You should not be. I'm just kidding. That's mean. But whiskey is a
Beer's
whole
nasty.
other
I'm sorry.
thing.
It's not
Whiskey's a whole thing. But that's the thing. Like, whiskey is a harder hill for people to climb than beer most of the time. Like, beer's fairly
I
inoffensive.
enjoy beer every once in a while in certain respects, but it makes me feel bad. I don't like the bloatedness. I don't like the fullness.
No, I can understand that. But whiskey, and especially Scotch, like
peatiness.
bourbon.
I like the peatiness.
Bourbon. People will tell you bourbon's. People who love whiskey will tell you bourbon's too sweet, right? That's the thing about bourbon. I love bourbon. I'm a bourbon guy first and foremost, but I can drink a Scotch. But I had a friend once tell me that Scotch tasted like Band-Aids, and he wasn't wrong.
Oh, if you really want to taste Band-Aids, go get Lagavulin.
Yeah,
Lagavulin, it literally tastes like you're sucking on a Band-Aid.
Now, my father-in-law brings me a bottle of Johnny Walker Blue every time he visits. So and he's coming in like a month and a half.
I got a bottle in the other room. You should have told me. We could have toasted together. When you get it.
I don't have it. I finished the last bottle. It took me a couple months. I didn't just drink it because it's Johnny Blue. But anyway,
I like blue.
We are here in our normal spot on a Thursday evening to talk about American soccer.
Speaking of blue, the women's fans are blue.
Are they blue? They're down. They're sad. You're a women's national team fan. You're blue, right? You're
casual. I would say not like I am with the men's team. I'm casual. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like I said, like in '99, I was at the World Cup final. I've followed the women's team casually my entire adult life, but I'm not going to games when they're at Home Depot Center or wherever.
That's where they just played. That's where they just lost to Mexico.
Is that really?
You didn't go out there to watch them play?
No, I had no idea what's going on here.
You had no idea the Gold Cup was happening? The W Gold Cup?
Yeah, I guess not, because, and this is going to be the crux of this conversation probably, is that when it comes to the women's team in CONCACAF, it's kind of chalk, right? Like you just expected to win.
It has been. But
one of the things we talk about all the time is that we're worried about one of the death nails of the women's national team is quality opposition, right? And we always talk about if they can get that in a Nations League.
But this is be careful what you want, what you wish for, right? This is be careful what you wish for. And I trust me, I struggle with it. I imagine this is like being an Alabama football fan or during that run for the Patriots. Actually, no. They just loved beating up on everybody. They didn't care if anybody was good. But you have this vague sense that your dominance is going to end one day, right? You have this vague sense that oh, we can't be the best team forever, but you never really address it. Like, you never really face up to it and go, ah, crap, what happens when we're not the best team? And U.S. women's national team fans, and I'm one of them, we've rationalized this as, well, it'll be better for the game. It'll be better for women's soccer when other teams are good enough to end our dominance. But I don't like the way it makes me feel, Jared.
Yeah, you want to be pushed. You want to be pushed, right? You want to have
But don't you want to win a championship more than you want to be pushed?
Doesn't Brazil want Argentina in their conference?
No.
I mean,
No, they'd be fine if Argentina died tomorrow.
Everybody would they be Brazil? And would Argentina be Argentina if they didn't have each other?
No,
it's like Mark McGuire and Sammy Sosa, right?
You don't appreciate that in the moment. I think you can intellectually appreciate a rival in that sense, like Michigan, Ohio State or whatever, but you don't, part of that sense is you really have to go beyond just being a basic sports fan to get to that point. Because look, if the Mexican national team ended tomorrow, I would recognize that as a bad thing for CONCACAF. I mean, the men's team, a bad thing for CONCACAF and a bad thing for the U.S. men's national team, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But part of me would be like, yes, no more Mexico? Yes, that's awesome. Let's go.
But you would never have a Continental Cup or anything.
I don't know, man. That's
how would Allstate and Continental Tires make their money?
Oh, is that what you're talking about? Well, that's the thing. The Continental Cup this time isn't going to be Mexico.
Oh, that's right.
It's going to be Brazil.
Yes.
We're going to play Brazil
because we're on the same continent.
Right, exactly. I don't know about plate tectonics. You were telling me about.
Neither does SUM.
You're telling me about how you were an art major. I don't think you know anything about it. I think we're the worst people.
I was almost a geology major, so I do know more than you might think. Yeah, the math was too hard. The math was too hard.
How did you swing from one
to
the
loved
other?
art history and I loved geology as a student, in high school and stuff like that. And I really wanted to be two of my best friends are geologists.
Oh, well, that's crazy. You should
we
call
all
them
went
up
through
and
a
ask
program
them.
there.
Are we on the same continent as Brazil?
I can tell you we're not.
Well, okay.
Actually, I'm not on the same continent as you. Or at least not on the same plate.
Okay, I was going to say the same continent.
I'm on the Pacific plate. You're on the North
I'm on a different plate than yeah.
And if you're in the really top of Seattle, over there, you're in the Juan de Fuca.
Wait, I'm sorry.
The Juan de Fuca.
I don't know, man.
It's the one that is.
That's in a props.
Juan de Fuca. I don't know Juan de or Fuca. What happened?
It's why that we're now due for a big, huge. There's the Pacific Northwest is due for another really huge shift. It's every 111 years or something like that, or 311 years. I can't remember, but it will subside all at once.
Is this
there'll be this big flood into the Pacific Northwest?
This involves the Ring of Fire and all that stuff. Isn't that what the Pacific
Ring of Fire is over on the other side? But this has been able to measured because they actually had tsunamis in Russia last time it happened, 100 and some years ago or something like that. It was recorded. So anyway, just to let you know, Juan de Fuca, watch out for it.
I mean, earthquakes is why Californians don't have basements. I know that. Is not the deal?
I grew up with a basement in my house.
Oh, you did? Okay.
I don't have one now.
What did you do in that basement? Well, you didn't drink. I know that. I know.
I set up a computer with a 20.
Oh, that's right.
A 1200 baud modem.
You freaked.
I did do some freaking. But not the way most of the people know it.
People don't know. Jared was a big freaker back in the day, but it was
actually I was not. My friend was. So technically, I was freak adjacent.
I think there's a bonus show that exists. Patreon.com/thebestsoccershow. There's a bonus show that exists where you explain the crimes you might have committed via telephone.
Adjacent.
Actually, there's a whole episode where we talk about all of us, you, me, and Nick. Shout out to Nicholas Soup and Sausage, who obviously can't be with us.
I'm starting to like Cincinnati.
We talked about crimes that we may or may not have committed.
Statute of limitations are up for all these things, right?
Probably. We're probably safe. We're upstanding members of the community now. You're on the library board. What are you talking about? All right. So again, intellectually, big picture, it feels bad when your team is no longer the dominant team. Intellectually, I can understand it's good. Emotionally, it feels bad. But I don't know. Is this? I get this sense, and I look. This came.
It's always going to happen at some point. You couldn't stay perfect.
Well, that's what I'm saying. And this came up.
WNBC.
The day after, on the radio show, was like the U.S. women lost to Mexico 2-0. Ouch! What does this mean? We look terrible. We got beat by Mexico. The world is coming down on our heads. We're the worst. And then we got like 15 callers. All of them had the answer. Right? All of them knew exactly why this was happening. And of course, the idea that the U.S. Women's National Team is too much into their social media and their advertisements, and that came up, right? That's
That nothing to
one,
do with talent or organization, I guess.
right? The number of there's lots of we aren't teaching the
Age.
game right. Coaching is certainly there. I mean, I don't know how much you put it on Twyla, but Emma Hayes wasn't on the scene, so you can't blame her. Got to blame Twyla.
When can I start blaming Emma Hayes? I've had a need to blame her, and everyone keeps telling me I can't yet.
Well, she's kind of like the president after he's been elected, but he
She's
hasn't actually
coach
taken
adjacent?
office. She coach adjacent.
What's the opposite of a lame duck?
We haven't had the inauguration yet for Emma. I don't think it's officially happened.
She's the
I don't
coach
know.
elect.
Exactly. She got enough what is it? Electoral college votes to be named U.S. Women's National Team head coach. Look, I think it's hard. It's very hard to figure out exactly what this is.
Mm-hmm.
Is the U.S. Women's National Team in a death spiral? Because that's where people want to go, right? This is, oh my God, the end of the world, and we're going to be terrible.
I think that a lot of U.S. fans need to reconcile two things. You want your team to be successful, but at the same time, I feel like a lot of those fans don't want to have to rebuild to be successful. That's where the U.S. is at right now. You have to rebuild right now. Like, that's how bad this last World Cup was. And you had a lot of people you were counting on that are probably not going to be part of the next 4-year cycle, which means that you're going to have to try to play a lot of players and try different things.
Well,
and one of the things you need to decide is if people like Becky Sauerbrunn coming back from injury or maybe
Becky.
past it, and you have Naomi Girma on the bench.
I know. That didn't make any sense. Was that disrespectful of Mexico? I mean, like, Becky Sauerbrunn has been incredible, but
for her career,
yeah, now is the and Naomi Girma is what, a 2-time Defender of the Year in the NWSL at this point, and we always get disrespected when it comes to like best 11 for FIFA and stuff like that for whatever reason. But Naomi Girma is like the one player that you can say absolutely
we have two
deserves
center
to be in
backs
that
coming
mix.
back from injury in Dahlkemper and Sauerbrunn. Don't be wrong. I think Dahlkemper still has plenty of national team left in front of her.
Mm-hmm.
But Naomi Girma is now. She's now.
Look, the way of the best soccer show. The way of the best soccer show is that we have a scale for this, right? We go ahead and we drop a number.
Take us to DEFCON 3.
The wisdom of war games, and obviously this is a real thing, DEFCON, brings us our scale. So DEFCON 3, you know how this works. DEFCON 5, we're totally at peace. Everything's cool.
Yep.
We're probably winning World Cups. DEFCON 4, okay, well, it's not the best it could possibly be, but I'm good. DEFCON 3, we're starting to get worried. We're starting to think that this is more than just a blip. DEFCON 2, man, yeah, this is a fight now, and is there this might be fixable, but it looks like it's going to be tough. And DEFCON 1 is everything is bad, and I know we've already changed the coach. She just hasn't taken office yet. But DEFCON 1 is certainly, that's a big step. Where are you at, Jared?
I'm somewhere in the 3 to 2 range. I think it's a 3, but it could be maybe pushing the 2. And here's the reason why I'm stuck between the 2. 3, because I expect the U.S. to have speed bumps for the next 2 years. I expect it. You don't have your coach in play yet. You need to find new players to count on.
So you're putting a lot of this on a generational shift.
Yeah,
what the
it has
US
to
men
happen.
went through.
Has to
between
happen.
18 and 2022.
Yep.
Okay.
So I expect there to be bumps. Where it makes me nervous is that where it pushes maybe into 2 is because I'm going to say a few names here. Roosevelt, Lynn Williams, Lindsay Horan, Trinity Rodman, Sophia Smith.
Mm-hmm.
These are the players that are supposed to be the next guard. They're in this team. Every one of them started.
Rose is a vet already established, but
they are supposed to be the leaders of this next generational team.
Yeah.
This was a first run lineup outside of maybe you could talk about the Girma decision. Outside of that, now granted, Mia Fischel, totally unfortunate injury.
Sucks.
Yeah, Mouse Swan still out. Mouse Swanson all still out.
Mouse Swan. I like that though.
Yeah, that is kind of a cooler name though, huh?
Yeah.
Mouse Swan. Is she also out right now? But those are really the only 2 players you don't have of your full team right now.
Yeah.
That's where it pushes into 2 category for me because we can't beat with the stalwarts on the field. We can't beat Mexico.
Well, I do think, look, there are, like you said, there's a couple things here. The coaching transition. First of all, if we want to unwind this, We go back to Vlatko getting the job. We go back to the pandemic hitting. We go back to not having as much time to integrate new players as he would have liked. He rolls into the Olympic tournament, right? And that's not, 20. It's not the way. Doesn't go the way you want it to go in Japan, which was a weird thing anyway, right? But you got to treat that seriously because it's one of the big events on the women's soccer calendar. Then we get to the World Cup, and it's like, okay, well, what could we do? How many young players could we really integrate it? Obviously, there was lots of people tell you that the tactics were bad. I think the default has always been we're faster, we're stronger, we're fitter than everybody else. That'll carry us through. And I don't think that's an excuse that they were. I don't think it's like, well, we're fitter and stronger and faster, we're going to win every game. I think it's like, well, we don't actually know how to move forward here, and because we're still relying on players who come from the old guard, the pre-Vlatko era, let's just default to that. It clearly didn't work. And obviously you had injuries, right? Mal Swan goes down. That's a big problem. There were issues in that team. I mean, Sam Mewis, I'm going to pour some out for Sam Mewis.
R.I.P.
But no, she's not.
Her career. Her career.
Damn, dog, that's in quotes.
Just, okay. Wow. I'm not saying it's not
Tyler
Vlatko's
Adams
fault.
of women's soccer.
I'm saying it's not Vlatko's fault, but I'm not sure it's all Vlatko's fault, right? And then, okay, you make the change after the World Cup that you have to make, and we're still in this like middle ground. Who knows I think it gets better when Emma Hayes takes office. Like, it definitely gets better, but how much better? And because the question people are asking is our talent good enough? Is the next generation? Is Trinity Rodman, Sophia Smith? And you talk about, we haven't quite turned over the midfield yet. We still haven't found our new Julie Ertz. What does this look like? I mean, those questions
I think one of the things, and this is going to be one of Emma Hayes' first things that she has to figure out, the team needs a definition. Like, what is the play style? Like, what is this team going to be? What style are you going to play? What is this team going to be known for? And I have no idea right now. Are they possession based? Are they counterattacking?
I would be perfectly happy if Emma Hayes comes in and says, you know what we are? We're a counterattacking team. We're going France 2018. We're going, we will win the ball off you maybe in the middle third. I don't think pressing is necessarily the way to go. We'll win the ball off you in the middle third. We'll win the ball off you in our own defensive third, and we go. And we'll find the weapons. It's Sophia Smith. It's Mal Pugh when she's back. It's it's Trinity Rodman who could definitely burn. We get players who can spray the ball around from midfield, and let's go do that. Like,
I don't disagree with you with respect to one thing, and you addressed this just slightly a second ago. To be that team, you need the ball winner. You need a Julie Ertz. You need someone that's going to get in those passing lanes, make things tough, and I don't see that player right now.
That's true. Those things can be cyclical, and we got to find those players. Look, lots of people in the chat, and this is Nate, if we were developing enough talent, injuries would not have been such a key issue, right? The underlying problem is the improvement of the European League's players vis-a-vis ours. And that's true. Like, the world is improving. The world is getting better in investing in areas, and that's going to close the gap because our advantage is now shrinking based on that front. What I think I would be mostly worried about in that area is, does the NWSL prove to be a place where elite players can develop? Because the American player is still going to default to the NWSL. As more money flows into the European game, you'll have a Lindsay Horan. You'll have more of those players willing to go over to Europe. But the NWSL is still going to be where most American players develop. And if the abilities in the level, the quality of the NWSL isn't meeting the quality of the top couple of teams, really, that's really all you need. Couple of teams in Spain, couple of teams in France, couple of teams in Germany, couple of teams in England, then that's where we have a problem, right? And our league is all about parity, whereas a lot of those leagues are not. So you can gather up all that best talent. They know each other intimately because they play together all the time, Barcelona, whatever, and then they go into the national team. And we are like, no, the NWSL needs to grow on all fronts, and that, which is great. But how does that impact our ability to compete internationally?
Let me ask you a question on a somewhat different subject. Is Sophia Smith a 9? Is she's playing as a center forward here?
No, she's not
in this game.
Well,
she should be wide, right?
She can be. No, she can be, and she plays through the middle in Portland, I think, some of the time, not all the time.
But when you think of the 9s in U.S. soccer history, the Abby Wambach, followed by the
Yeah, well,
Alex
she's
Morgan.
not a big target 9. No, that's not what she is. She's an off the shoulder 9, right? You got to play her in. It's the situation with Balogun with the USMNT to make an easy comparison, right? Balogun's not a player who's going to go up and win a bunch of headers for you. You're not gonna look for Balogun with a cross. You're going to try to look for Balogun with a cutback, or look for Balogun getting in behind off a pass out of midfield.
Well,
So
let's look at this. Let's assume that this starting lineup right here is 90% the best players you could choose right now, and I think that's fairly accurate. We could say Germa is one of those spots in the mid. Coffee, maybe there's better eventually that we can put out there, but other than that, there's no real choice here. Most of these players weren't the best selected. If that's the case,
but again, that's a function of a lot of things. But yes,
okay, but because I'm going to get to those functions right now. Where does Mal Swanson slot into this lineup?
Oh, she goes back into the one of the wide forward spots.
So Trinity Rodman sits, or Lynn Williams sits?
Maybe one of them. I mean, yeah, one of them. Lynn Williams.
So you're still playing Sophia Smith as the center forward then?
Yes, probably.
Okay.
I mean, you could play Lynn Williams through the middle too. You could do that. I mean, I think so much of this gets better when we have somebody in charge. And I'm turns in this moment, like, obviously the World Cup, that may have happened no matter who was in charge of the World Cup, right? You could possibly make that argument. I know lots of people want to make this argument about the way they behaved or the way they didn't care or whatever nonsense. I don't know about that. But the World Cup could have happened regardless who was in charge. Losing to Mexico and sort of where things are right now, this is because they don't have a direction, because the person who's supposed to be leading them isn't there. And what is Twyla supposed to do? I mean, we gave BJ Callahan a ton of love for what he did when he stepped in for Greg, but there was still a sense that, like, oh, Greg's going to come back, or we've got this direction as a team that kind of carried the U.S. men through in that moment, the Nations League at least. I don't know that that's the sense that anybody has off of for them, historic failure last year in Australia. So that's it.
I'm just wondering when, and even Mia Fischel, and I think it's maybe too early, even if it wasn't down with the ACL, if she was just going to walk into this team as a young player, but everyone knows that she had the talent to make a case for it. I just wonder, I just don't see when I look up and down the lineup with that. Maybe I'm just not sold to Sophia Smith as a 9 in all situations. I can see somewhere it would work. And a counterattacking team, definitely. If you're going to commit to a counterattacking team, I can see it. But if you're going to be a possession-based team, it makes me a little bit more worried.
Yeah, the U.S. women falling to Mexico. They go into the quarterfinals. They get Colombia on Sunday. Some people may have watched that game by the time they listen to this show. So I hope they beat Colombia. I don't know what else to say about that. I hope they beat Colombia, because it'll be 5-alarm fire. It'll be DEFCON 1.
Do you almost
We are
not?
at DEFCON 1. DEFCON 1.
If they go out in the quarterfinal of the CONCACAF Gold Cup, God.
I almost don't think it's that bad if they don't win. It forces the hand further.
I don't like that argument.
It forces the hand to change even further.
No, it was bad the U.S. men missed 2018. It was bad. Don't tell me it was good.
This is not on that level. Losing a World Cup and going out of the Gold Cup. I mean,
yeah, they've already qualified for the Olympics.
I believe so. Okay. I think so.
All right, let's move on to other topics. U.S. women losing to Mexico doesn't make me happy. Actually, you know what? This doesn't make me happy either, Jared. Gio Reyna situation at Nottingham Forest. Since he's arrived at Forest, the big move we thought was going to save Gio. He gets out of Dortmund. He gets away from Terzic. He's going to play some minutes. Nuno likes him. They got the same agent. Everything is lining up. For whatever reason, he goes to Nottingham. He has played 12 minutes versus Bournemouth, 17 minutes versus Newcastle, was unused against West Ham United, played 9 minutes against Aston Villa, and then played 1 minute in the FA Cup loss to Manchester United. They were already down in that game. It was just terrible. He has not started, and he's played 39 minutes. 39 minutes combined.
And
so
Newcastle's
far.
what? 1 win, 1 draw, 2 losses in those games? Something like that?
Sure. Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, I think it's something like that. So it's not. Go ahead.
Well, I'm going to straight up put it out there. Pick your poison. The problem for Giovanni Reyna is Nuno Espirito Santo and Nottingham Forest don't know how to use him, are treating him terribly, or Gio himself is the issue.
Man, I can only choose one of those.
You can only choose one. It's a pick your poison situation.
Gio.
Yeah, I mean the evidence speaks to that, right?
Follow the breadcrumbs, folks. Like Greg Berhalter wasn't playing him.
You know what's funny? I almost did a Little Red Riding Hood thing with Gio because of Forrest, but yeah, like it's not the same. That's Hansel and Gretel, but still fairy tales.
Yeah, Greg Berhalter wasn't playing him. Greg's the bad guy. Eden Terzic is not playing him. He's the bad guy. Nuno Espirito Santo is not playing him. He's the bad guy. At some point, you would think that Gio could have impressed a coach somewhere. Enough that they didn't so much impress. He should have instilled trust with a coach at some point.
Let me play the devil's advocate position, right? And this is coming up in our chat. And by the way, if you want to be part of the chat, watch the show live Thursday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern time. The idea that, okay, it's circumstantial, right? The U.S. men's national team, that was a coach missing what Gio could bring to the table because he locked in on a midfield that
pragmatic.
had two back and forth midfielders and a defensive mid in Tyler Adams.
Yep.
And injuries prevented Gio from really showing what he could do.
I wasn't even mad that he didn't start Gio in most of the World Cup Cup games. I was mad he didn't use him earlier as a sub.
Okay, there you go. Circumstantial, though, that was a coach who was locked in on his team and didn't really give Gio the proper opportunity when he could have, because Greg Berhalter struggles with substitutions, flat out. That's a thing. At Dortmund, he's just surrounded by very talented players. He's surrounded by guys who are extremely accomplished, like Marco Reus. He is a good player who needed to bide his time a bit more to get into that team. And really, maybe it was a bad coach. Maybe it was Eden Terzic doesn't like him or whatever. But you could look at it circumstantially and say, okay, there's a logical reason for him not to play. And here at Nottingham Forest, after he makes this move, again, trying to get his move, talked about Spain, bunch of teams mentioned, somehow he ends up at a relegation fodder team in the English Premier League, a league that is notorious for being difficult for players to adapt to in the first place, right? He's changing cultures, dramatically changing. I know the kid was born in England, but come on, dramatically changing cultures. And again, this is a team in a relegation fight, and there's reason to believe they're going to get a points deduction too, which is going to make it even harder. Every point is precious. I can't possibly, if you're Nuno, put in this kid and give him significant minutes when we are in a dogfight. And look, a draw matters for us. What is he going to do?
I feel differently than that because he's in a dogfight. Points matter, but the lineups he's putting out there aren't getting him the points he needs. Maybe he should try something different.
But more experienced players are ahead of Gio Reyna in this team, Jared. Maybe that's it.
That's nice and all, but if they're not producing and you chose to bring him in, it wasn't required. No one made him. As powerful as his agent is.
Well, I don't know. Maybe Jorge Mendes did kind of make Nuno do it.
How does he make him? Come on, how does he make him?
I mean, not make him, but say, hey, look, I'm not saying this is what's happening. Right?
Who should really be pissed? Borussia Dortmund should be pissed. They loaned a kid out. They signed him to a bigger contract, assuming that he's going to go out and come back a better player because they're going to further invest in him and try to sell him down the line. And he's not getting any minutes. There's no way he's getting better.
Yeah, but this is sort of like those services that allow you to rent your car when we're not using it. Like, yeah, it's not going to come back in the same exact shape, but at least you're making cash off. Like, I don't think it matters to them. And I know I know Dortmund has this policy and how they sell players, but they have somebody else lined up. No, Bino Gittins is going to go or whatever. Like, they have players. They don't need necessarily to put so much into Gio.
At this point.
No, I mean, I'm just coming back to this is a situation for a player that didn't fit him, but also does have those connections that make you wonder. Right. And again, this is more Alex Jermaine Jones this is Alex Jermaine Jones stuff more than it's anything else. But it wouldn't be the first time in history. And the first time that Jorge Mendes has been accused of something, or there's been hints that this is all really a kickback scheme. Like, this is all really about putting money in people's pockets, and it's not about what's best for the player or best for the club. Just saying.
At this point, it's almost better if Gio doesn't play. Because if Forrest is unsuccessful so far through the first six games, he's not responsible for any of the results, right? It's not my fault. I'm not getting game time. We'd be winning if I was in there. You could play that card.
Yeah.
He may have to play that card all the way through the rest of the season. Because back when you and I first talked about this, there was 14 games left in the season. And when you said, how many starts does he get? What's successful? And I said 7. You thought I was crazy. 7 is like 11 starts should be the goal for him. Like, nah.
Did I say that?
I don't.
That sounds
rewind the tape.
That doesn't sound like me. I don't.
Rewind the tape.
That show doesn't exist. I don't think that. I don't think
rewind
I said
the
that.
tape.
I think
at this point,
I
I think we're taking the under on 7.
What the hell's tape anyway?
He's only got 8 left, I think.
Oh no, yeah, he's not making starts.
Does he get a start? Does he get a start before the end of the season?
I have no reason.
Assuming they don't get automatic, they're not already in a relegated place by the last game. Last game wouldn't count then. I'm just talking about in a meaningful game. Does he get a start?
I can find no reason to believe that he would. And you know, if you were, and I look, it's easy for us. We're sitting here not running a Premier League team that's threatened by relegation. But if you're going, look, I don't know. It's the FA Cup, and yes, it's important, and you want to progress. But man, why not give Gio of all? You know what his talent is. You brought him in. Why not start him against Manchester United just to see how that goes? You can make a change at halftime.
You know, FA Cup is oftentimes where players get those minutes. You know, I mean, Matt Turner got minutes in it.
Yeah, and gave up the goal through the 5-hole, through the wickets.
He had a pretty good game up to that point, though.
No, I know. By the way, that is a question. I mean, moving on from Gio just for a second and sticking with Forrest and our other man there. Is that goal of Matt Turner?
I think anytime the ball goes between your legs, you're somewhat responsible. As a keeper.
Do you think that the responsibility...
It's almost like getting beaten near post.
Is in his reaction to the Casemiro flick, or is it in his setup of the wall again? Because there's only one player between...
I don't know, man. Part of it's luck, too. I mean, oftentimes do you feel that the player's actually aiming between the legs of the keeper? I don't know that happens.
I'm not
most of the time.
Okay, I'm not even talking about that part, though. Again, I'm talking about the setup. Because we've already had this situation where Ivan Toney scores on the free kick, which definitely, moved around and moved the foam and all that stuff. And what people said was, okay, maybe Ivan Toney did something a little shady, but Matt Turner's got to do better with his wall. He's got to put his wall in a better position because he puts himself at risk of giving up the goal he gave up if he doesn't adjust the wall. And I know Nuno came out and defended Matt Turner on that. But in this situation, you've got Casemiro out there, Bruno Fernandes out there about to take the free kick. You've got one player in the wall. You got one player between Bruno Fernandes and the box. Fernandes just plays around that player, skips the ball, which I don't know if that was intentional or not, but you got wet conditions, and it gives Casemiro a chance to flash.
It's not dissimilar to with that classic free kick move when the keeper, when there's the in-swinging ball that's going to the back post. It's very similar than that. In this scenario,
you're playing
Matt Turner,
between the line and the goalkeeper because
he's being forced to shuffle, and then the deflection happens 5 yards in front of him.
Oh, I don't think his reaction time is good enough for F1 drivers couldn't respond quickly enough to stop that.
If he wasn't shuffling to have to cover for the fact that inbound shot/cross is going near post, I mean, he's shuffling already to cover that. The deflection happens a few feet in front of him. I think keepers make that save 7 out of 10 times.
It's a 7 out of 10 times. You think they make that save?
They're shuffling. The fact his feet were open at that moment.
Wow,
he's in position. He's in position to make the save.
Clearly, he's in position.
His body, his body is on the central axis of the ball.
This is a phase issue. He was in the wrong phase of his shuffle.
I think he was just honestly. I think it was kind of like that. All
right.
He's having to play both. He has to play both if Casemiro doesn't touch the ball and if he does.
So we're all of the opinion that it does not get better for Gio at Nottingham Forest. We're all of that opinion.
I mean, unless in some of the minutes he gets, he does something significant. If he does something that potentially gives Nuno
1 minute, how can he possibly do anything significant?
He's also had more than that. Put the graphic back up.
No, I realize that. I mean, I realize that some of this stuff is 12 minutes, 17 minutes. Those are the first 2 games he played in. And then
it's not a good trend after that, though. It's not a good trend.
No. That's the thing. Like, it's bad. It's bad. But, I mean, that's the thing. Like,
I got a fun game for you. I got
Oh,
fun
no.
pick your poison for you right now.
Oh no, I don't know if when you say it like that, I don't think it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be bad. What's it going to be?
Who gets more minutes between now and the end of the season?
Okay, here we go.
Gio Reyna or Tyler Adams?
Oh my God. Oh man.
Tyler Adams, who
Wow.
returned to training, going to be practicing with the second team. It sounds like
Yeah,
going to get some games there.
End of February, March, April, part of May. How many games did you say are left in the season?
I want to say something like 8 or 9 or something. I'm not sure.
Oh man.
I'm not sure if they have the same amount of games left.
No. They play 38 games in the Premier League. They have that means Bournemouth has 13 games left. 13 games.
How many is Nottingham
versus
Forest? Nottingham Forest, I'm
Nottingham
guessing,
Forest
has
is
about
12.
the same.
They
12.
have 12.
Okay.
Okay. Do I think Tyler Adams or Gio Reyna will get more minutes? Like, okay, the safe bet.
It's a crazy thing. If you had
It's
gone
a
a month
crazy
ago, do you think we'd be having even hesitating?
The safe bet is to go with the healthy player. And while Tyler's back in training, he's not activated yet to play in the Premier League. I'm going to say it's Gio. It's Gio.
But here's the thing:
It's
if
Gio.
Tyler gets minutes, it could be like 30-minute stretches. If Bournemouth is protecting a lead or
possible.
something like that,
It's
like
possible. You could put him on for the last 10.
I don't know if he's
So
going to
he
get
could-
many 90s coming back from injury, but
No.
he might get some 30s.
No.
And Gio hasn't had a 20.
Bournemouth is in a position where they could be relatively safe fairly soon. I mean, not right away, not for maybe another month, but they could be safe. I mean, they're in 14th now. I know Everton got some points back. Brentford is on 25
What's the
points.
most exciting American headline for you over the last 2 months of the season right now? Is it Tyler Adams and watching to see if he can come back? Is it Weston McKennie and AC
We're talking about
Milan,
the
seeing if they
Premier-
either one of them can push for
anywhere
Inter
in
Milan?
Europe?
Yeah, like a best American headline,
Yeah.
like with the storyline. Is it PSV?
I mean, it could be PSV, but I'm still more. I know. Look, I like Malik Tillman as a player. I do. I think he's a
I
little
like
messy.
this one from the chat too.
He's a
Johnny
little
Cardoso in Real Betis.
Malik Tillman is like, I don't know. Did you ever know somebody who was like an incredible athlete, maybe a star on some team in high school?
but would trip on a rock in the quad.
Exactly. Like they would fall down in the hallway all the time, like end up with a trash can somehow. You're like, wait, how is that guy like that? I kind of feel like Malik Tillman's that guy. Is that mean? Is that mean?
I think that it's almost like you know when you have athletic friends in high school and they hit that growth spurt and they're awkward for a while.
Okay.
It's like he's growing into his body still, but he's full grown.
It's a little bit like that. Yeah.
I feel like he's
That's what it's
capable of
like.
magic and he's capable of
is.
tragedy at the same time.
That's right. That's right.
He's just
It's a
not
big
clinical. I
spectrum.
think that's what it comes down to. He doesn't feel clinical.
And this is the thing, like coaches love players whose top end and bottom end are close together. Now you want that to be farther
Like
up the
physically?
good scale.
Like short.
Okay. In terms of their performances, they want the smaller the range
Bending over backwards, you say.
between good and bad, the more trustworthy you are as a player. Now again, you can't be a bad player and have it's got to be relatively high.
Yeah.
But Malik Tillman still has this big range. Like his range is still pretty big. And if he can bring the bad performances up a little bit, who knows? Johnny Cardoso is a nice mention that you brought up for KY, and Nate's adding in. Scored a great goal. I mean, did you expect
He's tied to the Tyler Williams headline as well.
the what?
He's tied to the Tyler Adams storyline as well.
Oh, you said Williams, and I was very
Did I
confused.
say?
For a second.
sorry. Wow,
Yeah.
sorry, my bad.
Well, you mean in terms of taking a position that
Yeah.
that Tyler's leaving behind? Look, he scored a great goal for Betis. He's not a Tyler Adams player, but he could be a very useful piece. And I'm not going to get into a conversation about him starting right now because I don't know that
here's
we're
the
there
thing.
yet.
I mean, in terms of a defensive midfielder, which we can argue about whether that's even necessary in the United States team right now. But in terms of defensive midfielder, if you need to play a defensive midfielder right now, Leonard Maloney just got hurt over the weekend. I haven't heard what his injury prognosis was. Have you?
Yeah. No, I have not seen that.
I know he got hurt over the weekend. Tyler Adams is nowhere near ready to start. I mean, Johnny Cardoso's your guy right now. If you need to
if
play
you're playing an out and out
defensive
defensive midfielder, sure.
Maybe you play Musa slightly out of position. He's playing a lot of defensive role at AC Milan when he's in.
Yeah, I mean, we know he can play there and he has played there, but he's not going to be as positionally disciplined as a Tyler is. I mean, Tyler ranges across the field, but But anyway, yeah, this is a good point from Nate. That really, let's just say it's good to have competition, right, for these spots. And I'm obviously my esteem for Johnny is growing. I didn't know enough from what he was doing at Internacional in Brazil to say anything about. And when he showed up for the national team, like he was okay.
I don't think he's been good for the national team, to be honest.
But he's never jumped off the.
And I will change my opinion of him when I see him good at the national team level. Because I think he's having a fantastic season in Spain. I really do. But I've never seen him do anything at the national team level.
He's played 500 minutes, right? He's started 6 games, which is great. He's played 500 minutes. Let's be positive and hopeful that this means something. But 22 years old, yeah, absolutely.
I mean, that's a fantastic thing. I'm watching him keenly. I'm excited for the minutes he's going to get in the upcoming summer.
Yeah, Johnny Soccer doing it in Spain.
So is that your storyline to follow then?
Ballonpied. What is my storyline? I think it's still Pepe because I think Pepe is setting himself up. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen with Luke de Jong at the end of the season. PSV is on this incredible run where they're going to win. They're going to win the Eredivisie going away.
I think Pepe's the storyline for next season. I don't think he's the storyline watching down the stretch right now.
I've been on the Pepe train now for a while, so for me that kind of feeds into like what can he do? Because maybe PSV doesn't move on from Luke de Jong, and maybe somebody comes in and says, "Hey, that sub you guys got, the Texan kit, we'll take him. We'll take him off your hands." And I mean, obviously,
but he has to shave the mustache.
It matters where he goes. Why? Why does he? What? Why?
Oh, that's not working. That's not working.
Why? You don't get to decide the man's facial hair situation.
I'm just saying, if I was signing him, it'd be like the Yankees in the 80s, like no facial hair.
They had mustache. Don Mattingly had a mustache.
He was the only one. I don't know how he got away with it.
No. You could have a mustache. It was like military rules. Like my dad had a mustache when he was a young officer in the Air Force back in the 70s and early 80s.
The colonel had a stash?
He had a stash. Yeah. He actually looked pretty good with a stash. I've never tried the stash only.
My dad always had a stash.
He's got darker hair than me. The beard, like I feel like, tell me if I'm wrong about this. If your facial hair is anywhere on the reddish spectrum, and mine very clearly is, it's beard or nothing. Because I don't think
he's rocking a red stash.
Do I look okay?
No, it looks like you just ate spaghetti.
Does it? I mean, it looks like, I don't know.
Actually, you know what? Now you do it. It was very Earnhardt-ish.
Is it
very
like
Earnhardt look?
Very Dale Earnhardt? What, the younger one or the older one?
I feel like you're looking up for me from going down on me right now.
You're not supposed to.
That's the view that I would have if you were down there.
No. Why would you ever even picture that?
You're the one going like this and like looking up at me like.
Why? Okay, I don't know what's happening anymore. All right, let's change gears. Let's go to something completely different. I do have another thing we can look at here, Jared. This is the supposed leak of the kits for the U.S. men's national team for 2024.
Man,
on the left, people listening to the podcast can't see these, but go look at footy headlines on X and you'll find them.
Let's see if I can describe it. The left is a all white with maybe a hint of chain link kind of feel, or
there's a texture there. It's like a weird texture for sure.
How would you describe that? The middle looks different than the sides, kind of.
It's like an alligator skin kind of situation.
Yeah, a little bit of alligator skin.
Snake skin? What are we saying that is?
Yeah, something like serpentine.
But then it's not. So that's like down the. It's like, man, I don't even know. It's say like a tire tread, but it's not. Down the middle, it's this weird like sublimated ovals, and then. But that's only in the middle, and obviously this might not be a great picture from footy headlines.
I like an all-white kit for the U.S. nationals. This doesn't make me mad. I think with we have to get used to the fact that with the men's home kit, it's almost always going to be white, and then it's about texture. I don't mind this texture, and I actually do like the detail around the collar.
You like the piping?
Red and white stripe with the blue solid on the other side. I think it's an interesting touch, and I kind of like it. So I think I'm actually a fan of this home look.
Okay, wait, hold on. Before you go to the way, I just want to describe a little bit more. And again, I know people are going to look this up, but it looks like the cuffs on the sleeves, the piping, it doesn't go all the way around, right? It's only like 3/4 of the way around, and then there's a white patch inside for some reason. It's very like red.
They
and white
have the money
pinstripes.
for the whole way.
Maybe not. It's red and white pinstripes. Nike ran out of money. That's definitely true.
But it ties it to the collar.
And then the collar is that same sort of idea for part of it, and then for whatever reason, a solid blue element that is also part of the collar on the right side, I guess, and then the left side would be the red and white pinstripes.
Do you think it's white shorts as well with that?
I hope not. It'd be, I mean, I
Blue
guess.
shorts.
Look, white just feels boring, but I get why you wear white, and you want to have
it's a statement on the racism in our society in America.
Sure, that's definitely where I was going to go with that, 100%. And then the away, or wherever we're calling the other one, the change, mostly blue, and then some weird tie-dye thing just down near the I don't know what the stomach line, but it's at a diagonal with this. What do you describe that? What is that?
My first thought was it's both it kind of looks like tie-dye, but also if you ever recorded an audio file and there was a lot of noise on that audio file, it kind of looks like that kind of peak and valley kind of thing, or like a Richter scale.
You're saying it's like a waveform is what you're saying.
Yeah, a little bit, but it's like a tie-dye waveform. And I don't know if I'm mad at it or not. I think I'll say this, it's something I haven't really seen before.
It feels like something we've worn before.
And I think it's
vaguely.
smart to be low on it. If
It's a lot of blue.
If it's through the middle like a sash, I think it would be too much.
It's a lot of blue. We seem to have problems leaning into the red, right? Jason is saying that in the chat. Like, why are we leaning into blue instead of leaning into red?
Oh, no, I like what Nate said, because I had the same feeling. He says it looks like a melting bomb pop.
It does look like a melting bomb pop. That's right. That's why I say it has vibes like something we've worn before. Like I got the here. Hold on for a second.
Jason has to get one of his free things.
This is the bomb pop. For people watching on the video, you can see the bomb pop, which you know what it looks like. But I'm just saying, like, blue on top, white stripe, red on the bottom.
Now, here's what I would really respect. And this would be like hype beast level of thought. Back in the day, I'm not sure if this is going to be for some old skateboard heads. Okay.
Oh no.
There was a skater in the early 90s named Rob Roscott, and he skated for Santa Cruz boards. And he had this most amazing deck. It was a series of, I think, 8 decks. And they got released over, I don't know if it was a few months each one. And it was a transitional, like, it was always continuing on the same thing. I would kind of think it's cool if the U.S. had something like that, where it changes every year, but there's it's a thread of consistency in what's happening to the jersey. And then like if you could have them on display, and it would be like a
like if you line them all up, they would form one picture.
Yeah, or it was just there was a gradient of some kind happening across all of them. Or like
what about? I mean, if we're going to spitball here, what about a series of kits based on state flags? What about that? You put a bear on one, you put the Lone Star on another.
Okay, let's be careful. Some of those flags have the like Dukes of Hazzard, Union Jack. I mean, the Dixie.
I'm obviously not talking about
Confederate battle flag.
I'm talking about the ones that don't have a Confederate battle flag.
All right, let's be clear.
Okay.
I think there's a way to pay homage. I think it could be really tacky if you made it.
One.
If you really went hard on it, I think it would be tacky. But I think you could do it where it's a watercolor, a watermark, or something like that of like state flags or something in there.
Yeah, I'm only kidding. I don't think it really works because there's just too much of a range. But I do think that we don't do well with the design elements. Why not something that we did the denim kit. I get it. We're probably not going back to that. That was Adidas. This is Nike's era, whatever. But why not something blue with sublimated stars or something, like kind of across the whole kit? Like you could do it in a way that doesn't offend feet.
Is there a fabric that we've not respected? Like we've done denim. What's the other next fabric?
We have silk uniform.
Pleather.
Okay. I see what you're saying.
Now you have like velour.
Let's do tweed. I don't know. Like, what can we do? What's American? Like seersucker suit
flannel
inspired kit. Flannel? Oh, we could do
pretty American.
Flannel.
Like the Paul Bunyan kits.
Is that what that is? Flannel is very American. I mean, I don't know.
Flannel's pretty super.
Denim
American,
is pretty much the only thing that people associate with Americans, and I've recently come out publicly on my anti-jeans stance. So I mean, I think I mentioned it before. Jeans are completely overrated.
Chino fabric jerseys, what you want?
Just complete. Yeah. I mean, why are we gonna be? Well, no,
khakis with pleats on the sleeve.
No. Let's wear shirts that look like blazers, and then shorts that look like jeans, and then we can be the white guy.
The Raj Bennett kit.
Is that what you're gonna call that? Okay. Oh man. All right. let's before we run out of time, let's talk some Major League Soccer, Jared, and week 1 of MLS. Now, we have had Miami on the field twice because they had to open the season at home against RSL. And they didn't look great, but they won that game. And then they played your team out there at Dignity Health Sports.
You could put the word play in quotes.
And Adult Playground or whatever it's called. And, hey, you've got to be salty that you didn't get 3 points out of that because should have. If
Don Garber wanted to talk about something other than Messi, he should be talking about the damn referees in this league right now.
Well, he has mentioned that, and he's saying the referees are terrible people.
My team got the shaft on the premier game of the weekend, so everybody saw it too. And actually, Mark Delgado already having that yellow rescinded today.
He did, yeah.
So, but I mean,
he didn't
doesn't help on the points on the table though.
Do you know that there's a clip out there of Sergio Busquets saying, "Yeah, it probably wasn't a card," and it's like, well, why'd you go down, Sergio?
Every player in the world goes down there if they can draw yellow. He did his job. I'm not mad at Sergio Busquets. I'm mad at the referee who did not do his job because two things. Wasn't a yellow card.
Don't hate the player, hate the game.
Forgot that it was Delgado's second yellow card anyway. Had to be reminded and had to give him the red, which means he probably wouldn't have given him the yellow in the first place.
I think this is all a function of the fact that he went from Marky, which I think is cool because it's different, to Mark. It's boring to be Mark Delgado. Much more fun to be Marky Delgado.
I'll say a couple of takeaways from that game because that's the one you brought up. Luis Suarez ain't it. Luis, I don't know how he got 20 goals in Brazil. That guy can't run. He literally can't run, dude. Now, if you can serve him in the box on a 1-2, I guess that's what you're banking on.
He got hit or something happened in the game against RSL. And I said, why would you fly him across the country
you did
to
say
play 4 days later and put him in that game? But they did it anyway.
They wasted a position for 60 minutes. They wasted a position on the field with Luis Suarez. There's never a threat. Never a threat.
Well, let's while we're here giving some attention to your team. And again, that's a great goal to level for Miami. That's what Messi does. And whatever. And you should have had more. But look, if I'm a Galaxy fan, I'm excited. You got Ricky Puig running all over the field, taking shots from 30 yards, but also being able to spray it around. Pansil looks the real deal.
Pansil's the shit.
Pansil is,
yeah. That dude, there's left backs crying to this right now.
Pansil is the shit, but you're gonna have something in your Pansil when you watch him play.
Yeah, a little bit of peck.
A little bit of peck, just a tiny bit.
I'm really happy where the Galaxy landed at the beginning of the season. A lot of question marks. You wouldn't know for sure until you saw on the field. And it's only one game, but you get the feeling that one of the coolest things is that the Galaxy looked that good on 40% possession, because this is a team that had 60% possession most of the games last season and didn't know what to do with it. So, I mean, Greg Van has really pivoted the approach, and credit to Will Kuntz, who I think is really truly the one that pivoted this team. Now it's just a matter of, I think they got away with one, and I don't know that you can start Yoshida and Caceres consistently this season with that lack of speed. You got away with it against Miami because they are more thought over speed, and you had two smart center backs that are veterans. I don't know that you can play them against some of the other pacey strikers in this league.
Okay, I mean that's something that Vanny's going to have to deal with on a case by.
What was your biggest surprise this weekend, or was it just the fact that there was 2 0-0 games on Sunday? I mean, the 0-0s, I guess, are kind of par for the course in the early going of the year because teams aren't really up to speed yet. I don't know. I guess Portland. I mean, who knows how good Colorado's going to be? They signed a bunch of players, but it's going to take a little while for that all to work out. I didn't have Benteke hat trick on my bingo card. I mean, think maybe you should have. I mean, maybe not a hat trick in the opener or whatever against the Revs, who lots of people tell you are going to take a big step back for several reasons. But Benteke proved he could score in this league last year. And if we're talking Golden Boot, I think we've all overlooked Christian Benteke a little bit. Like, I think we maybe should have given him a little bit of attention. I just didn't know if he was going to get service. I think that was my biggest thing. He's a striker, the classic in the box striker that needs service. So I was kind of surprised that I don't know, maybe he won't the whole season, but he definitely looked good and he had the service that he needed against New England. I think for me, the biggest surprise this weekend is Philly drawing with Chicago at home.
Yeah, they didn't look good for a while.
I
and they had
think
to
we
come
knew
back.
Chicago was working on some things. I don't know
Yeah.
if they've truly figured it out in Chicago, but Philly opening up the season at home to draw
Well.
against Chicago, and you and I had them both picked for
Well.
second place in the East.
I know it's still early, and I don't know what his future is, and I think there is going to be an issue of where he plays if he goes to Europe at some point. Because we've had another playmaker come through Chicago in Georgi Mihailovic, who's now back in MLS because it didn't work out. But Brian Gutierrez might be the truth, Jared. He might be the truth, and yeah, that's why I'm going to be watching Chicago.
And he's American and Mexico eligible, correct?
I would have to double check on that, but he's been in the U.S. system.
I believe. I think I read recently that he's had talks with the U.S., but no one from Mexico has approached him yet. I believe that's the case. So,
well, that's interesting. But the Nations League roster, the roster for Copa America, the 60-man, not actually means anything. Really big ass roster came out for everybody, and we didn't make that a centerpiece of the show because whatever. I know John Brooks being on it was like, oh.
I mean, Jordan Morris was on it,
but zero Mexicans who play in MLS were on it, right? Isn't that right? Zero
Mexicans to play in MLS. I didn't look at the Mexico roster.
I don't believe there was an MLS-based Mexican player on it.
I did not look at the
Mexico
Mexico
roster.
Go through
the Rolodex.
But who would it be if there was?
Well, that's what I'm saying, though. But like,
Pizarro's not.
It's a 60-man list. So if you've got like, I know Kate Cal left. So no, he's American. He's is he cap tied? Is Kate Cal cap tied?
Yeah, he's cap tied.
Okay, he's cap tied. I don't know who I'm thinking of then. But anyway, just that idea. Like,
one thing I'll say about Brian Gutierrez in Chicago, though, is that I'm stoked that Chicago has a local kid playing in their team that's that good right now. I mean, born in Chicago, like this is a cool story for the Fire. You know, I'm trying to remember if they've ever really had a.
Georgie was that kid.
He was from Chicago?
Yeah, Georgie's from Chicago.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Okay.
Georgie's a Chicago kid. So it's again, I'm not saying they're the same player, but they are similar. I know he wasn't.
I guess Mike McGee was from Chicago.
But Georgie was born in Jacksonville, but I'm pretty sure that he grew up. Yeah, he grew up in Chicago. So whether you consider him from Chicago, and Gaga's a Chicago kid, and that all worked out, as KY718 points out. So there's that.
He's 20 years old. Hopefully he gets to move across to Europe if he keeps producing here in MLS. And it'd be cool to have, because we do have like the Gio Reyna and the Malik Tillman, but there's really not many players pushing to be that style of player in the U.S. team. So interesting to see if he can build into that.
Yeah, I'm looking at these scores. Columbus beat Atlanta. They looked better than a 1-0 win. It was Cucho who scores the winner for them. That's what you would expect. Atlanta,
I mean, it's just not good when there's 4 0-0 draws in the first weekend. No, 1, 2, 3. Only 3. Okay, it's only 3, but 1, 2. Yeah, I mean, I was surprised that Charlotte maybe beat NYCFC. I just think maybe that they're better than that in New York, but neither of us took them in our top. What we said, top 3.
No, I think
New York I wouldn't put it in my top 4 either.
Drop. Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of takeaways here. Again, it's so early in the season. I wish Orlando had scored because I picked them to do a lot of things this year, and it would have been nice if they had won their opener. But whatever. Shout out Freddie and his Orlando City Lions. Looking ahead. So we're doing this show on a Thursday night. Got games coming up on the weekend. Jared, let me go through these. You tell me if you think any of these are of particular interest. Minnesota with their brand new 32-year-old manager. I don't know if he's going to be on the sideline yet.
Manchester United.
Eric Ramsey. They're taking on the Crew, the champs. So that was
the interesting thing for me here is to see if the Crew can, I hate to say bounce back because they won, but you would expect maybe they want to be a little bit more emphatic. I guess Atlanta's no pushover, but
I don't think you look points in the mouth in this league. I think you take 3 points and say thank you and move on.
Okay.
RSL and LAFC.
RSL at home, I believe, on this one. So
yes. And RSL had the weekend off because of the game on Wednesday, right? They were the team left out.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting to see. Are you getting the RSL that finished the playoffs, or are you getting the RSL that played all season long last year?
Well, they need Chicho to be healthy, and he's not fit yet. I mean, he played.
He's getting a week rest right now, so we'll see. Maybe he'll be good. He was good enough to play. I would watch that one actually. I think that one has its attraction.
What about Inter and Orlando, Florida derby?
I honestly think that Oscar Pereira maybe torches this team. I think Oscar Pereira's team might torch this team.
You think they might torch Inter Miami on their home
if
patch?
Miami plays Suarez up front again, and Busquets looks like he has the last 2 games, Busquets looks past it.
Man, they got
He
to
looks
play
past
they
it, dude.
They got to give him a break. They'll play Leo Campana.
The
He'll be
guy
fine.
can't make a 10-yard pass right now. He's getting caught in possession too. Like, it's just not what you expect from Busquets. Jordi Alba's looking good, Messi looking good, but the other 2 of those 4 horsemen, like, they aren't looking like the real deal right now. And I think Oscar Pereira is smart enough to figure out. I mean, we already seen with RSL went to Galaxy, pressing, choosing to press and then not press at very key times was good for both RSL and LA. At times they're like, break us down, and they couldn't.
They couldn't.
You know, so it was interesting to see if
they
Pereira
did
takes
eventually against the Galaxy.
They needed a 1-man advantage to do it.
Well, that's true. You had the man sent off. I forgot about Vancouver, Charlotte. Moving on, Chicago, Cincinnati. I think that was interesting, right? If Chicago really has improved,
I am interested to see if Chicago can follow up that Philadelphia performance against the other premier team in the East in Cincinnati. That's one I would watch right there from the East. I think that's the eastern side matchup I'd watch.
Dallas, Montreal. Dallas, they got an equalizer from Dante Sealy.
I don't care about either of those teams, to be honest with you. I just don't have any. Like,
Pereira out. I don't know what his status is. Dynamo, Red Bulls. All right. You know, Dynamo through in the Champions League after knocking off St. Louis. Red Bulls are, you know, let's see if Emil Forsberg can do something. They didn't week 1. They scored no goals. Sporting Kansas City and Philadelphia.
Could be fun. Could be fun.
I know Philly's not an old original MLS team, but it's got old school.
Honestly,
MLS
I'm more
vibes.
interested in watching Vermees versus Curtin on the sideline. I'd take a camera angle that just showed that.
I think both those guys have. I mean, I think both those guys are comfortable being the bad guy for a lot of the league, and certainly not their people. But there's that. St. Louis, NYCFC. Okay, I mean,
I think St. Louis takes that game. I don't think
sure at home in front of that crowd. Right, they're the only ones that really showed up for the Champions League. Colorado, Nashville. That's the Gary Smith derby. That's what that is.
I think the next one is the one to watch, and that's the Portland DC game. Portland coming up. These are the 2 highest scoring teams in week 1. 4 goals for Portland, 3 goals for DC. What happens when those 2 teams come together right now was an aberration. I think we all know that Benteke is probably the real deal. I think the question is Anthony the real deal for Portland? You know, we'll see. They get a goal chipped in by Eric Williamson last week even. So I don't know. It'd be interesting. DC on the road here. I'm taking DC in that game probably, though.
San Jose Galaxy, Cali Classico.
Cali Classico, but
Cali Classico. Where are they playing this one? Where's that one going down?
That's in San Jose, but it's probably not in San Jose. My guess is they usually
it,
play it in a bigger stadium. I don't know if
it says
doing.
PayPal Park this time. I don't think they're moving to the bigger joint.
I'll say this though, no matter what status San Jose or LA is in, this game always lives up to the hype.
It does. It's always fun. Yeah, go back and look at the history real quick since we didn't mention it earlier. We do have the 2 Americans in Mexico who are doing really well right now.
Yeah.
And now Brandon Vasquez is going to get a return to Cincinnati with Monterrey in the Champions League, in the Champions Cup, rather. But Cade Cowell, suddenly kid knows how to score goals. Suddenly it's happening for him.
You know, it's funny, Cade Cowell, like it might have just been an issue of talent around him. It might have been.
Could have been.
Because here's the thing, in MLS, you can double team Cade Cowell and not be punished as much for it. In the Mexican League, if you're not marking, if Cade Cowell's only going to get 1 marker, and if he in 1-on-1 with his speed, he can definitely break dudes.
Yeah, the way the game is played in Mexico is a better fit for Cade Cowell's game. So we'll see if that continues. And
a lot of transition stuff for Cade Cowell there.
Seattle and Austin. Austin looked
That's
trash.
a womp, man.
It's a womp.
I think Seattle just wins. I think it's just easy for Seattle. I think they're going to win that game. They're at home. Austin looks like it's the same team as last year. Josh Wolf has got to be the lead favorite for first coach to lose his job this season.
Wow. With a new sporting director there?
Well, he just ended last season on the down, and you're starting like this?
I know.
I still don't understand why they got rid of Fagundes last season. That was a weird decision.
Sunday's lone game is Revs and Toronto. And, the Revs off that bad performance against DC, they don't really inspire a lot of, let's go watch them play.
Porter gets some time, though.
And look, Gillette Stadium, it's really hard to sell me on a game in that building. I just don't care about games happening. I don't want to watch games happening there. And Toronto is, just the wildest, messiest team in MLS.
Just signed Longshore from Newcastle, looks like.
Is that Longshore? I don't think that's his name. No, I don't think it's Longshore.
Isn't it
Longstaff.
Mark Longstaff?
Longstaff is
Mark
better.
Longstaff.
It's a better name than Longshot.
My bad. I don't know why I said that.
Longstaff? Man, yo, that bro's Longstaff.
That dude does movies.
Got Longstaff. All right. That is a hell of a show on a Thursday. Jared, I asked you a question in the private chat. Could you go check that out?
Oh,
meanwhile, I will tell people to go to patreon.com/thebestsoccershow. And based on Jared's thumbs up that he just gave me, that means there's going to be a bonus show this evening. We will spend some time talking about soccer or non-soccer topics, whatever comes to mind. Last week we did a live version and like 4 people watched us do the bonus show. I liked it. I think we'll maybe do it again. Why not? So if you want to be part of the bonus show or hear the bonus show, get all the back bonus shows. If you need a Nikki soup and sausage fix, that's where you go.
By the way, did I tell you that I think that when I look at Emily Fox, that's how I picture Nick's daughter probably looks like. I don't know. I just feel like Nick could like be the father of Emily Fox.
Is that
she gets really red in the face when she plays. Like Nick gets red in the face.
Is that like a weird thing to say? I don't know why that feels weird to me.
Like they could be related?
Yeah, it's first of all,
Nick does procreate, right? It's happened
Nick is
twice.
not old enough to be Emily Fox's dad. Technically speaking, I guess he is. Technically speaking,
we're all old enough to be any of those people's dads, other than Becky Sauerbrunn.
Good point. By the way, here's another thing that I should do. I should remind or recognize people that are new to the community over on the Slack and on the Patreon. I know that we had somebody join us.
Blood in, blood out.
From jolly old England. Jared, like
an MLS supporter from England, and we think we all told him that the Red Bulls need to be his team because he's a Manchester United.
All of us did. That's
because he's a Manchester United supporter over there, and so the natural enemy is NYCFC here.
I think we did say something like that, and I think it was probably cruel and unusual to tell him that.
Oh, well, his team right now is cruel and unusual as well. So
that's a good point. He's going to be, they're going through some stuff.
Was that Sean, I believe? Was that his name?
Let me see if I can find out his name.
I just know we had 2 of them. Whatever it was, we had 2 of them. There was a battle of the 2 people with the same name.
Let's see. I don't.
Last name started with W or M, but I'm sorry.
Well, I can't find him now in my.
You wanted to do this segment. Look at you.
I did. Somehow I screwed this up. All right. Well, I see a couple people canceled their subscriptions. That's all I can find. That's all I got. Nate joined us recently. Shout out to Nate who's pumping the Patreon in the chat. I appreciate that. So there you go. All right. Anyway, patreon.com/thebest soccer show. He may have signed up as on a trial basis because we do have that option. Check us out if you like the bonus show. Why not? I mean,
First taste is free.
We're not okay. That sounds ugly too. All right. Anything else, Mr. Dubois, to tell
people
the bonus about? See you on the bonus show. We'll talk to you guys. See you later. Bye.
Calm down, Greg. It's soccer. It's soccer.
Oh, baby.
It was there. Oh, here we go. Saucing them up. Hit them. Wet.
Go to DEFCON 2.
What are we doing?
I think I'm starting to like Cincinnati.
WNBC. Oh, it's incredible.
We are at DEFCON 1.
DEFCON 1?
The Sausage King of Chicago.
Michael freaking Arosco Fiscal.
Jay Rodius.